Hey everyone, this is Coach Ivan from Pintado Tennis Training. Today we're going to go over on how to become mentally tougher. So let's get to it. Okay guys, so first things first, in my opinion, I think everything starts from the way you approach practice. To develop good mental toughness, in my opinion, and just good habits in general, you want to try to think of practice as the way to train for a match. Some people look at practice and they say, oh, I'm just gonna go out there and hit some balls, maybe play a couple points, probably won't even serve. But ideally, when you're trying to practice, when you're trying to get your reps in, I think the way you approach practice needs to be very important, needs to be very specific. I would say when you practice, try to be in the present, try to make sure that you're doing your split step, you're doing your unit turn, that you're moving your feet, that you're always ready for the next ball, and that you don't treat it as just practice. You want to treat practice as, we're gonna go practice, let's make something happen. Okay, so from now on, I'm gonna start giving a couple of tips that will include practice and match play and all that stuff. So, in my opinion, when people practice, you want to make sure that you add a lot of point play. You gotta want to have a lot of point play when you practice. Hitting down the middle is not enough. You gotta want to make sure you play some points out. You gotta want to make sure that you also do matches. Those two combined will help you a lot. If you develop a routine where, okay, you go practice with Johnny, you go practice with Rebecca, and you say, okay, so look, let's hit 20 minutes down the middle, and then after that, we're just gonna play a set, or we're gonna play a match. And you do this over and over and over and over. Now you're gonna start to become more of a match player, because no longer are you just practicing, you're not just hitting. Now you're working on certain situations that will only come up in the match. And that is why when you practice, it's so much more than just hitting. You wanna try to practice real life scenario. There should be some kind of pressure when you're playing points. That way you're more accountable for your errors. So when you miss a shot, it shouldn't be like, oh, okay, I missed it. It should be like, what can I do to maybe not miss it by that much next time? Or what can I do to make it? Or why did I miss it? You wanna hold yourself more accountable, basically. That's basically the idea. You wanna make sure that your shots are counting. So that's why point play and match play is super important, guys. Okay guys, the very next thing that follows is, how do you approach practice in terms of your mindset when it comes to fighting spirit? By fighting spirit, I mean, are you a fighter on the court? Do you grind out points like, say, somebody like Rafa Nadal or even Novak Djokovic? And I mentioned those two because I think in my eyes, they're like the prime example of like a fighter or warrior on the court. Like, they never give up, they don't give you any free points. You know that when you're going into the match, it's not gonna be like, oh, it's just ace and forehand winner all the time. They're not gonna give you any free points. They're gonna play deep, they're gonna play hard. It's difficult to put your will into the match because of what they're bringing to the table. And with the willingness of not quitting, even somebody like Alcaraz. So basically where I'm going at is, when you're practicing, are you chasing down balls that are hard to get, or are you letting them go by? If you can just add that to your practice, sometimes that changes everything. A lot of times, somebody mishits a ball, you're hitting down the middle with somebody mishits it, and you just kind of let it go out. You're like, let me not get it. And for certain scenarios, maybe that's fine. Maybe you're warming up before a match, you don't want to break something or tear something. Maybe your body's not warmed up yet, that's fine, you let it go. But once you're warmed up, everything is ready to fire. Getting into the habit of chasing down certain balls will translate into the match. If you're used to chasing down balls, getting them back in, when you get to the match, you're gonna do the same thing. It's just how you practice is how you play, so it just kind of carries over. So that's one thing everybody can consider. the next scenario is if you're down in the score. If you're down in the score, are you the type of player that tanks? Or are you the type of player that you're down in the score and now you say, you know what, I can still come back, you know? Let me go 1 point at a time. Let's try to win 1 point at a time. And let's see if we can bring it back to 5-0. Let's say you're down 1-5. See if you can bring it back to 5-0, but you cannot think exactly this way. And I'm kind of tripping on my own words, but what I mean is if you're down in the score 1-5, you always want to think 1 point at a time. So say it's love in the game, boom, now you win 15 love, then 30 love, then 40 love, then game. Now that you have the game, you can think only about the next game. You cannot get ahead of yourself. You want to make sure that you're always going 1 point at a time. And you're thinking, you know what, I can't quit. I can't quit just yet. You know what, let me try and come back, you know. Okay guys, so the next scenario is if you're down in the score. If you're down in the score, are you the type of player that tanks, that gives up? Or are you the type of player that can keep fighting, keep pushing, and trying to find a way to win point by point, all the way to getting to even, to perhaps even winning the set? And I know this is possible because it happens at the pro level, it happens at the recreational level, it happens at the junior level, it can happen at any level. If you have a player that's got the strong mindset, and yes, they got down on the score, but they're still gonna try and fight back and try to make things even, and then perhaps after that, maybe even take the set. So you gotta wanna have the mindset of, let's try to find a way to come back. Let's not give up on this set, or let's not give up on this game. Maybe you start the match 0-0, and then the opponent goes up 2-0. You don't wanna think, oh my God, it's over. You want to think, okay, let's bring this back to even. Let's get one game. Let's try to get 1 point. And always from 1 point to then the game, to then the set, in that order. You don't want to make sure you skip. Okay, another tip that comes on top of my head is visualization. Kobe Bryant was great for this. I know it's a different sport, basketball, but it can be for any sport. And visualization basically means that in your mind, you're thinking of how the match is gonna go down, what you're gonna execute. You're gonna execute the right shots in your mind. You're gonna put shots away. You're gonna have the right game plan, and you're gonna have a positive attitude leading to your match. Yes, you can control certain things. Certain things will be out of your control, and the opponent is normally trying to do something to throw you off your game, and you're trying to do something to the opponent to throw them off their game. But it helps to visualize things. It helps to visualize yourself winning, even if it's against an opponent that you've never won before. In tennis, you just have to know that everybody's beatable, and you don't have to win every single point. You just have to win more points than the opponent. And again, I could say this one again. You don't have to win every point, but you have to make sure that you're winning the big points and just a few more points than the opponent. You just have to be just that little bit better than your opponent. I feel like sometimes people think they gotta win every single point. And no, you just have to win just a couple more points than the opponent, and now you're on a roll. Okay guys, when you guys set up practice, it's also very important that you are very picky on this thing. You wanna make sure that you can practice with players that you can beat. You want to make sure that you can practice with players very close to your level. And you also want to practice with players that can beat you. That there's nothing that you're going to do that's going to bother them. If you can follow this kind of pattern, along with some good coaching, your game will go up. Even without coaching, your game should steadily improve in certain areas. However, coaching is always recommended. I always say, the best quote that I've heard is, you cannot see the picture if you're in the frame. It's as simple as that. If I want to improve, I have to get a coach. I cannot do it on my own. I could try super hard. It will take 1,000 years for me to figure something out, whereas a coach will literally see you and will be like, this is what you got to do. A good coach will point out something that you're struggling with and will give you something to work on so that you can fix this issue, so that you can make things better, so you can have less and less weakness. So basically that's the idea. It's to always be looking to get feedback and training and coaching. If you add those to your practice sessions, to your routines, I guarantee you will start to win a little bit more. Okay guys, the next topic is fitness. I know this part is very important too. If at any level, if you're not in good shape and you're playing somebody that's like a grinder or they're a wall and they never miss, it's very critical that you start to improve your shape. Because if not, somebody that's in better shape than you, they're always going to feel slightly more relaxed in the sense that they know that they can outwork you. They know that if they extend the point here and there, and you want to put more balls away because you don't want to get into a too long of a rally, now you start becoming impatient, now they start to beat you, then in their mind they already won. So shape is very important. Fitness is super important. Fitness can mean something like maybe once a week you start running a mile. As you start getting better, maybe you add a little bit more. Maybe you add 2 miles. Maybe you add a mile 2 times a week. Maybe it's not a mile. Maybe it's just a 10-minute sprint on the treadmill. Something that gets you moving, perhaps to work on speed, and can also work on your endurance too if you do it for a long enough time. Maybe you do rollerblading. That's what I do. Maybe you do even something that's different. Maybe some kind of martial arts, something to keep you in shape. Maybe you do cycling, but you gotta wanna do something sometimes other than tennis to help you with your fitness. Being fit, there's nothing like getting on the court and feeling like you can run down everything. Feeling like even if you get out of breath, 20 seconds later, you're gonna recover quickly because you're used to pushing your heart and your body at a certain rate, and this pays off. At the highest level of tennis, fitness is super important. If you're not in shape, good luck. The best players, super fit, super in shape, even the diet, super on point, because diet and the fitness, they kind of go together too. You can't do a mile and then go eat McDonald's every day. It's just not gonna do it too. You gotta maybe add some whole foods into your diet. That will help just as much as the fitness. So we're throwing that in there because every little thing will add up and will help you right here. Also, even things like strength training. I know I said earlier, running, all those are great forms of cardio, but tennis, nowadays you want to be in decent shape. Maybe add a little bit of toning to your body type. I'm not saying you have to be like super huge and ripped. You don't need that. But a little bit of toning here and there with your, especially on the leg muscles. You know, tennis players always have big quads to be able to change direction quickly. That's important too. If you add that, even better. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If some of these tips are valuable to you guys, please like and subscribe. Today I decided to do the video in my sofa. I actually did this video again outside, but I had to do it again because it just didn't sound right. So this is the second attempt on making this video. So please like and subscribe. I'm doing this video at the comfort of my own home. You can see certain things are a little bit messy. Got a small home, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. Stay tuned for the next one. Peace.